The Edmonton Oilers just made a move that has nothing to do with Darnell Nurse and everything to do with Connor McDavid. Think about that for a second. A veteran defenseman who has spent his entire NHL career in Edmonton, who has bled for that organization through rebuilds and heartbreak, and 2 consecutive Stanley Cup final losses, asked out. He walked up to the front office and said he wanted to go somewhere else. That is not a small thing. That is a seismic moment for a franchise that is quietly running out of time. And here is the part that nobody wants to say out loud, but everybody already knows. The Oilers are not really trading Darnell Nurse. They are making a desperate, calculated gamble to keep Connor McDavid happy enough to stick around when his contract expires. 2 years. That is what Edmonton has left. 2 years to give the greatest hockey player on the planet the one thing he has never had, a Stanley Cup. And if they fail, if they waste these final 2 seasons the same way they wasted the last 3, then all of this, every trade, every free agent signing, every draft pick, every coaching change, it will have meant absolutely nothing. Let that sink in. McDavid has taken this team to the Cup final twice, back-to-back, against the Florida Panthers, one of the most suffocating defensive teams the league has seen in years, and he pushed them both times. Lost in 7 in 2024. Lost in 6 in 2025. And then, this past season, they did not even make it that far. First round exit. Knocked out by the Anaheim Ducks, a team that was not supposed to beat them. That result broke something inside that locker room. You could feel it in the silence that followed. You could feel it in the way Chris Knobloch packed his things and walked out the door without the Oilers even trying to pretend the relationship could be salvaged. When a franchise lets a coach go after 2 Cup final appearances, something deeper is wrong. The structure, the culture, the ceiling. Something is not right, and everyone inside that building knows it. So now Edmonton is in full reconstruction mode while simultaneously trying to win right now. It is one of the most difficult tightropes any organization can walk, and they have a 2-year deadline hanging over everything they do. Nurse requesting a trade is the first domino. He is 30 years old. He has a contract that carries real weight on the cap. He was a cornerstone of this team for a decade, the kind of player who shows up in practice, who leads by example, who younger guys look to when things get hard. Losing him is not just a roster move. It sends a message through the entire dressing room that the era everyone thought would deliver a championship might be fracturing from the inside. But here is the other side of that coin. Trading Nurse gives the Oilers an opportunity. Cap space, assets, flexibility to go out and find pieces that actually fit what they need right now, not what they needed 4 years ago when Nurse signed his deal. The right return for Nurse could reshape this roster in ways that a quiet offseason never could. The question is whether Edmonton's front office has the clarity to make the right moves or whether they will get caught chasing the same identity that has gotten them to the doorstep twice without walking through it. Because the Panthers did not just beat the Oilers with skill. They beat them with structure, with depth, with players in the bottom 6 who showed up and did their jobs every single night without requiring the spotlight. Florida built a team where the stars thrived because the foundation underneath them was rock solid. Edmonton has been trying to win with a foundation built around McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and hoping the rest fills itself in. That model has limits, and the Oilers have now found those limits 3 seasons in a row. The new head coach, whoever that ends up being, is going to walk into one of the most pressure-filled situations in recent NHL history. They are not coaching a rebuilding team. They are not coaching a dynasty in full bloom. They are coaching a team in a very specific window with a very specific player and a very specific number of years to get it done. The margin for error is almost non-existent. And McDavid is watching all of this. He is not saying anything publicly because he is smart and professional and understands how the league works. But he sees the first-round exit. He sees his teammate asking for a trade before the confetti from the opposing team celebration had even settled. He sees the coaching staff turning over. And somewhere in the back of his mind, a quiet calculation is happening that no one in Edmonton wants to acknowledge. When a player at his level starts doing that math, franchises have to respond. Not with words. Not with press conferences about commitment and belief and culture. With wins. With the right players around him. With a structure that actually gives him a chance. The Nurse trade is step one. It has to lead somewhere meaningful. The free agent pool this summer has options, players who could come in and provide exactly the kind of depth and grit and defensive structure that Edmonton has been missing. The draft is there too. Every pick matters now, not as a long-term investment, but as potential currency to accelerate the timeline. Everything has a different weight when you are 2 years from a potential franchise earthquake. Think about what it would mean for Edmonton to actually win a cup with McDavid. The city would lose its mind in the best possible way. It would validate every painful rebuild, every early playoff exit, every season where the promise was there but the delivery fell short. It would cement McDavid's legacy not just as the most talented player of his generation, but as a champion. And it would secure the Oilers as a destination, a place where stars want to play, where winning is the expectation, not just the dream. But think about what happens if they do not get there. If these next 2 seasons come and go, and McDavid reaches the end of his deal having never lifted that trophy, the conversation that follows would be one of the darkest in franchise history, and it would force a decision from both sides about what comes next. That is the weight behind trading Darnell Nurse. That is the real meaning underneath a roster move that might look on the surface like just another offseason transaction. Edmonton is not rebuilding. Edmonton is not retooling. Edmonton is in an all-in sprint with a 2-year runway and the best player in the world waiting to see if the people around him can finally give him what he deserves. Nurse walking out the door is the starting gun. What the Oilers do next will tell you everything about whether they actually understand the moment they are in.